Welcome back to It's New. Barry Schwartz here. With us is the whole gang. Thanks, gang, for being here. I'll be talking about the core update is on its way, so buckle up. Greg?
A new test shows that Google Ads may be putting more intent behind their matching names.
Crystal?
Another one for the Google graveyard. The old chit chat about that.
Nice. And feeling leaky.
Hey AI, get off my lawn, says Google, possibly, as maybe they're looking to move past artificial turf.
So we got Danny Sullivan, the search liaison, going into really dangerous waters by going onto the Search Engine Roundtable, my blog, going into the comments there and responding to those people who comment there. I'm like scratching, I'm like nervous the whole time that it's going to go off the rails, but it was pretty, I can't call it civil, but it was pretty good for Search Engine Roundtable or even YouTube standards. So he basically said in there a bunch of things. One thing that he said was that basically he would expect the next core update will be coming in the coming weeks. Now, when Danny Sullivan says coming weeks, that can mean tomorrow or it can mean in like 4 months from now. So I wouldn't like take that to be anything, but he said in the coming weeks. So it's coming soon. He said this based on their current cycle, but he's not sure, and it's not known yet when that update will be released. He said what happens is the ranking teams makes changes, they test those, evaluate those, and eventually they'll get a launch date. But right now they don't have a launch date because I guess all their tests, or maybe they haven't even started testing it, I don't know, has not been released. He also said, which is found very interesting, that back like a couple of months ago, the Danny Sullivan interviewed the folks at HouseFresh and Retro Dodo, and
I like Doodoo.
Sorry, I had to.
Retro Doodoo? I would love to see that website. What does Retro Doodoo look like?
That's like fossils, right? You look like fossilized, like
it's like fossilized woolly mammoth turds.
Yeah, right.
All right. And then he basically said that in that interview, he interviewed those two sites that were hit hard by that September helpful content update. And they've been most vocal, one of the most vocal sites out there on that topic. And he said 50 Google search quality team members watched that interview live, and a bunch of other Googlers watched it later. I found that very interesting. In any event, I think he's basically implying that Google's working towards making hopefully changes with sites that should not have been hit by the helpful content update that haven't recovered yet, to like kind of improve it with the next core update, which will happen sometime in the coming weeks. So buckle up, it's coming soon.
I think the discussion there is really, really interesting. And I think it's one of the things that I enjoy about Danny is that he's not afraid to like get in the weeds for some of this stuff. So, you know, someone was like, Google talking heads are gaslighting. And he responds as one of those Google talking heads. And it's like, okay, all right, we're getting into it. And I think that's really, really interesting as well. So yeah, as you said, like some brave territory getting in there, having those discussions. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Is this Google admitting they have a problem? Like
Google always says they have problems. They always do. We're not perfect. Search could get better.
No, but like that's like saying like, you know, like when a baseball manager says, well, you know, we really, you know, it's all out there in front of us. We could have done a little bit of a better job. When you really should have said was that guy really screwed up.
I don't know. They didn't say they screwed up outright. They just said they could do a better job. So hopefully we'll see Google doing a better job in the coming weeks, and we'll see what happens there. Or we could just figure out what AI is and let them take care of everything, right, Mordy?
That's my plan for raising my children. Yeah, so it seems like, you know, the Google leaks, the gift that keeps on giving, possibly, depending on how you look at them, if you believe them or not, and whatever. But Juan Gonzalez Villa posted on X, formerly known and still known to me as Twitter, that one of the things in the leaks was a site level AGC classification score, meaning like is Google looking and seeing if you're artificially generating content, creating a score, and either rewarding or most likely demoting that sort of content. As Barry Schwartz from SE Roundtable pointed out, this might be based on an old old technology. Maybe they're not using this score for current thing. It would, if I had to put money, if Google had some kind of way of detecting whether or not your content was created by AI and is assigning some kind of status labeling score to that, I would bet that they are doing that versus they're not doing that. But I don't bet. So what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know how new the Ractor score, or whatever you want to call it, is something that's old. It's something from 1984. So I'm thinking this is something that Google came up with to figure out what is machine generated content from, like when Google used to say machine generated content is against our guidelines, we don't like it, blah, blah, blah. That's my gut feeling, that it's not really like the new AI detection score, but it's more about what was the old AI machine generated content.
So 2 quick points. One, I'm from 1984. Are you calling me old? And 2, yeah, I agree with you, but I also would imagine they have some kind of way of detecting whether or not you've spun up your content with AI.
Probably. On that, I think there's a feature going away that Crystal wants to talk about.
Yeah, so another one for the Google graveyard. I mean, how much more can they take from us? No, I'm kidding. It's like I saw somebody talking about ports for computers, but basically they are depreciating the chat function on Google Business Profile. So yesterday they ended support for new chats on a Google Business Profile. In Google Search and Google Maps, and they are going to be completely deprecating the functionality for those chats on July 31st. So this means you will no longer receive new chats. You will no longer be able to see your business call history and Google Business Profile. Some customers may be able to find out how to contact you. Maybe you'll still find and contact your business via Google Search and Maps. And this is, I think this is a shame. I really liked this feature. I always thought it was really good. However, I'm aware that a lot of local search marketers have said that people don't really know how to use it. Think it's like an instant chat thing rather than a sort of asynchronous chat. So there have been some challenges with it. The call history thing, though, is a little bit of a bummer. That I feel like they could have kept, because that can be quite a useful metric for measuring the value of a Google Business Profile phone number on the SERP. So maybe we'll see something else from them. Maybe it'll go away and come back like bounce rate did in GA4. Who knows?
I say good riddance. Rest in pieces to chat. No thanks. Like, you get so much spam and so much garbage coming through. And to Crystal's point, people didn't know how to use it. It's not like real time. It's not like a chat bot. And then you got business owners and you have to use it. It's too much. And there's so much spam in there that I'm glad that's gone.
I can't believe I never thought about spamming people and trolling people through the chat thing before. Oh, what a missed opportunity.
I got some of that. But it's weird because I was like, oh yeah, barely anybody really uses that feature. And then when Google announced it a couple months ago, every single news organization covered that news like it was the end of the world. And I'm like, nobody uses it. I mean, why are they covering it? I don't understand. But I don't think they understand that nobody uses it. So that's why you have us to explain to people that it's not a big deal. But it is gone and it's in the graveyard. But what's Google is pushing towards are the AI overviews, right, Greg?
Yep. And Barry, you had found a test in the wild where if you're on the SERPs pages and you scroll past the AI overview, there's a fairly large button. You're in dark mode, and this was a large bluish button that would take you back up to the overview to the top. Then it kind of sticks there right in the SERPs. I don't understand why they're pushing these AI overviews so hard when they're not even out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Crystal just covered it yesterday that we're up to down to 7% of queries have AI overviews. I feel like get it out more to people, let them understand what the product is, get more hands-on experience with people instead of trying to force it up on 7% of the queries. I just find it very strange that it was the flagship announcement at IO and GML, and we're still here now in July and we're just not seeing them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what the test is exactly, because I can't replicate this test. And I wonder if so obviously it's a limited number of tests, but I wonder if Google's way of trying to understand if somebody scrolls through it too fast, maybe they show it. Maybe if it's, I don't know. It's interesting. I do think it's weird that Google's not showing it more, but I also don't think it's weird because Google doesn't know what to do with them yet. So I think they're just showing them to appease Wall Street. So I think that was the whole point of releasing it, was the Wall Street stuff.
Yeah. Well, either way, if they're going with it, I'd like to see it rolled out more, even if there's issues like we talked about yesterday. Let's get people hands-on with this and understanding it instead of just forcing more to those 7%. And then lastly here from Dario Zanoni, he does a ton of great Google Ads work over in Japan. And previously, broad match keywords were called partial match. So that's what it translated to. And there was a name change, at least for Japan, where it changed to intent match. And I, for one, really welcome this change. I think it's something that novice Google advertisers can get messed up. You see names like exact match, phrase match, broad match. Broad match will look at, previous search histories and landing page content. So I think intent match is fine. And then, hopefully we'll see a change in something like phrase match and exact match. And I like the way that they name the lookalike audiences. I think those would be much more appropriate names for some of these different match types. So if you change exact match to narrow match, and then you had phrase match be balanced match, and then you've got intent match, that would make so much sense, instead of saying that something that is not exact is exact, something that doesn't need a phrase has a phrase, and then broad match doesn't even look at the keyword. Like, to me, that would be this is a great sign, I think, and could help adopters and novices do better with Google
Ads.
No, you're right. I mean, it's interesting they changed it in one place and not others at the same time. You would think they would just try to sync that up, but I guess changing it across that language is not such a big deal and won't confuse so many people, but you kind of want that to sync up right away. So I actually added Ginny Marvin to see if this is coming to other places as well, other languages and regions. We'll see. But nice catch there, Greg. It was an interesting find. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the It's New. Back tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Greg.
Bye, Morty. Love you.